Okay, welcome back to Violent Money TV. Today, I am joined by Cage Warriors lightweight contender James Power ahead of his return at Cage Warriors 181. Before we get to this fight, I didn't have the opportunity to speak to you since the last fight, which is one of the craziest fights I have seen in Cage Warriors for some time. I mean, that whole card was nuts, but it really felt like that took things to a whole other level. Have you ever been in a fight that crazy?
Probably not quite as crazy as that one. One of my kickboxing fights was similar though, where I dropped the guy and then he dropped me, and then I came back and beat him in the next round. So I've had a couple like that. Hopefully, I don't make it too much of a habit though, to be honest.
That I mean, immediately, like from the very start, you put an insane pressure on him, and then you know, towards the end of that first round, you could see that it was just he wasn't going to be able to continue fighting you at that pace. You know, it was starting to get to him. Is that something that you could feel in there? I know that I've heard you speak about how maybe the moment of fighting in Newcastle and things like that maybe added to the way that you fought on that night coming out of the gate so fast. But was that kind of the intention going in anyway? Was just to like go at him straight away?
Yeah, I kind of felt of the footage I'd seen of him, he didn't do too well when the other guy put him on the back foot. If you gave him space to work, he was very dangerous, as I found out when he dropped me. But yeah, he was powerful, giving him space. So my intention was to push the pace, and put him under pressure from the beginning. So that was definitely the game plan going into it. Just maybe we could have executed it with a little bit more intelligence, maybe at the start. But yeah, ultimately we got the finish, didn't we? So it's all good.
Yeah, it was an unbelievable fight, and obviously the second win that you've had this year, now going in for a third fight, and to bounce back from that loss with these two wins this year, I'm sure that feels good to get, not only back in the win column, but back with some serious momentum, because it felt like before the loss, like you were right at you're talking right at the top of the lightweight division, and you never know how people are going to respond from those setbacks. But then to go and get those two wins, to come through some adversity along the way as well, and be back kind of where you were before that loss, I'm sure is put you in a good spot coming into this, which is another really big fight.
Yeah, absolutely. The loss in Italy against Pagani was a tough one to take. He's a very good opponent, as we've seen in the Mason Jones fight. So there's no kind of like loss of respect for myself in that regard. I was just a little bit disappointed I wasn't able to get the win in that fight. So yeah, to come back with two wins, like you say, I've got momentum coming into this one now, and I do feel like I'm right knocking on the door at the top of the division. There's only another maybe like one or two other guys I feel like that are up there, and Girlean being one of them. He's also on a good run of form, so I feel like this is the perfect fight to kind of establish who could be the next number one contender for that lightweight title.
Yeah, honestly, I didn't think that we would get this fight purely because I thought one of you would fight for the title next. We'll get to that in a minute because maybe there's more to that. But you you must have got this name and thought another one of these Italian guys that just seems to beat everybody. Like at least this one's on home soil, right? You haven't got to go to his backyard for this one.
Yeah, definitely. And like lots of respect for Girlean. He's a great fighter. He's picked up some really good wins. Impressed with some of his performances, like the fight against Cullen. Obviously, Cullen's a well-respected person in the organisation. So he's took some scalps. He's put in some good performances. So I'm not taking him lightly at all. And yeah, like you say, there seems to be a good contingent of the Italian boys at the minute in Cage Warriors, and they're doing well. So I need to make sure I don't fall victim to that, and I'm on the right side of the result.
What was it like fighting in Newcastle last time around? Because this is something about Girlean that you kind of mentioned there, but like he's traveled to quite a few. Like I was there when he beat Colin in Manchester. He went to Scotland and fought Chris Bungard, so he's clearly very used to being on the road. But as you said, with the previous fight that you had, that Newcastle atmosphere conjured something special on that night and seemed to bring just crazy fights and crazy performances out of people. So what was it like to be a part of
Yeah, I felt like that card was like one of the best ones in recent history for
that?
Cage
Yeah.
Warriors. Like, I think we got there like with when the last few peeling fights were on, and watched quite a few of the main card fights while we were warming up and stuff backstage. And yeah, fight after fight just seemed to be so entertaining, and lots of finishes. And it definitely gets the blood pumping a little bit more. when you're backstage seeing everybody else do that, and you're thinking, yeah, like, I want a piece of that. But also just the crowd there is amazing, and the arena is really good because it's tiered seating, but it's not like a crazy capacity, so they can fill it
Yeah.
out, and it makes the sound so good. So like when you're walking out, it's got that like almost big arena feel without it being like so big they can't fill it.
Mm.
So I think it adds to the atmosphere, and all the sounds kind of like coming down from the bleachers. So the atmosphere there is incredible. So I am really looking forward to being back there. I really enjoyed it.
With an opponent like Girlean, we've seen him tested, like you said, against some of these guys. He's on a good run of form here. I remember his fight with Adam Cullen. Like Adam fights with a high pace anyway, so he definitely put it on him, and Girlean was able to obviously get the stoppage in that one and look very good later on in the fight. Do you feel like he's going to be able to hang with you in terms of pace? Because I would say, I think he's looked really, really impressive in those fights. And with the pace that you put on people, I think that's going to be really interesting to see how that plays out.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to underestimate his gas tank purely for the reasons you've just stated. I fully agree. I feel like he's fought people who fight with intensity and
Mm.
he's done well against them, and he's stayed in the fight and then actually come out on top towards the later rounds when maybe the guy who's normally the aggressor is starting to feel the fatigue themselves from that pace. But like Cam Subzone trains us incredibly hard. Like some of those sessions are the most grueling I've ever been in. So I will be fully prepared to fight at the pace that I fight at for all 3 rounds, for 15 minutes if needs be. So I'm sure he'll be equally prepared, and we'll get a great fight.
Obviously, like I said, I didn't necessarily think that this matchup would be next because I thought that both of you were in pretty good positions to get a title shot. Having you fight each other makes a lot of sense in terms of, like a title eliminator, having one person in line. Is that, do you think about that at all? Like, does it add extra motivation, or is it something you just try not to think about? You just got to get past this guy, and then whatever comes after comes after.
Yeah, like I was a little disappointed after the last fight that I didn't get the shot because they were kind of talking about it a little bit in the interviews and things like that, like it might be on the cards with a good performance. And then I felt like I delivered on the performance and then didn't necessarily get the reward at the end. So there was a little bit of a bitter pill to swallow in the moment, but it is what it is. And yeah, Girlean's the perfect opponent to get that title shot now. And I don't think it adds extra pressure. Fighting somebody's pressure enough, and that's the main thing I'm focusing on, is just beating him in the best way possible. And then all the cards are kind of like, I've done my side of the deal there. It's up to Cage Warriors and everybody else. What happens afterwards, it'll be out of my hands. I'll just do everything I can to put myself in that position.
Yeah, it'll be an interesting thing, I think, to see how it plays out with obviously George being the champion. Am I crazy? Or I'm sure the last time I spoke to you, we spoke about you training with the Hardwicks, like very briefly. Did I make that up?
No, we've me and George have trained a little bit together. I helped him get ready for his fight with Liassi, I think it was, and he also helped me prepare for Capera because he'd fought him previously. So we have trained together. I've got nothing against the guy, and if he's the title holder when they give me the shot, I've got all respect for him. But I'm 33. I ain't getting any younger. I want to fight for the title. So if he's the guy I have to fight, he's the guy I have to fight. I can have a beer afterwards or a Palmer or whatever he wants. All good.
It feels like I don't know how it'll end up playing out because it feels like George is so close to, since coming back to Cage Warriors, being on the cusp of moving. And so I don't know what is going to happen in terms of how many fights he's going to have in Cage Warriors before a big opportunity comes his way or something like that. I mean, obviously, if George was to vacate the title, the winner of this fight has to be involved in some kind of vacant title fight. I mean, in many ways, this could be a vacant title fight if George, happened to get a call up or something like that. How do you kind of approach that scenario in terms of, like you said, I suppose your job is just get the win, and then it's Cage Warriors' job to work out what do we do with these two really great lightweights.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think I'll probably speak for most of the people at Cage Warriors or in the UK anyway. Like George is really talented. He's fought some great people and got good results. I think most of us believe he's UFC caliber and he should be there. Similar with Vucenic before he got signed, it was kind of like, when is this guy actually going to get signed? Because he's
Yeah.
amazing, and I feel like George is in that similar position now. But equally, at the same time, I don't want to wait. Like I said before, careers have a time limit on, and I want to progress. So whether it's George or somebody else, I feel like I'm hoping that the people that have the cards give me what I deserve after this fight.
It really feels like in recent years, especially, the majority of the English fighters in Cage Warriors have been towards the north. Like, of course, they still do regular London events, but we get the Manchester shows, we now get the Newcastle shows and things like that. A fight that has been spoken about so many times. I don't know whether we will see it, but if they could pull off a fight between Harry Hardwick and Luke Riley, it would really be like a culmination of this period of the North being so integral to Cage Warriors. You and George Hardwick is that level of fight as well. I think in that you could put that, you don't even need to worry about necessarily Manchester or Newcastle. I think you could put that on anywhere towards the north of England, and that is going to be one of the biggest fights Cage Warriors have ever done. Like, I think that you could put that fight on any card of any promotion, and people would pick it out and go, this is going to be something special. So, whilst who knows what's going to happen, I feel like that would be an incredible fight, not only to watch, but also for your career as well, to be able to put on, one of the biggest fights that Cage Warriors will have ever done. And the fact that it's you and George just makes it so much more exciting because of the fights you guys have had in Cage Warriors, but also the support that you always bring to these North shows, which is, a huge reason why Cage Warriors have been so successful there.
Yeah, agreed. I think, like you were saying there, like Harry and Luke would be a phenomenal fight, and obviously the both guys have a great following, and I feel like me and George are in similar positions. Yeah, who knows? Generally speaking, they just send me an opponent, and I say yes, sign the paperwork. So, like I said before, not looking past Girlean at all. I very much respect him. I'm coming in there expecting it to be a very hard fight. I'll be very well prepared for it, and hopefully all goes my way. And if so, then hopefully Cage Warriors also do what I hope they would like to do and put that fight on.
Yeah, this card is looking like it's going to be something special just on paper. And considering the way that last Newcastle show went, I feel like we are going to get something pretty incredible here. So excited that you're going to be a part of it once again. And yeah, this fight is fantastic, mate. So credit to you and Girlean for signing this fight, because like I said, I think both of you probably could have just waited to see which one of you gets it. We're going to find out which one of you is going to get it when you guys fight. So I appreciate your time, mate, and all the best for these last few weeks leading up to the fight.
Cheers, man. Thank you for having me.
All right, nice one, man. Have a good rest of your day.
See you soon, you too.
See ya.